Tonight we have as guest the president of the Cameroon People's Party, the CPP. She is a human rights and political activist, Kah Walla. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Talking Point.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be on Talking Point and on Equinox.
The pleasure is ours as well. One day or 24 hours after the International Women's Day, CPP women dressed in black holding brooms staged a peaceful protest in Yaoundé. What actually prompted you to carry out such a move, looking at the political and social atmosphere in Cameroon today?
Yes. First of all, I want to say these were really women of stand up for Cameroon, women standing up for Cameroon. So it is CPP. There are some other political parties. The majority of the women do not belong to any political party. And we felt as women that our country has been going on, we seem to have a government and even some other political actors who are behaving as if nothing is wrong in the country, as if we just go on about business as usual. And the women felt that on their day, they should express what was within their hearts, what is within their hearts, I can say. And we planned the activity because this was women from 9 different towns in Cameroon, 5 different regions that came together, and they said, no, we know that there will be official ceremonies of women wearing the cloth and dancing, and we are not against women celebrating. Women should celebrate. But we felt that at this point in the history of our nation, with the problems that we have in the Anglophone regions, with the problems that we have in the extreme north, with the problems that we have in the east, with the problems that even the women in the regions which are supposed to be okay are having with regard to water, electricity, sending their children to school, the women felt that no, if we do not come out as women and let the nation hear us, we will not be doing our duty. Women are those who bring back harmony to a society.
Did you go home satisfied, given that more than 20 of those women were arrested?
We were so satisfied. There were over 150 women who marched. These women knew, or every single one of them knew, that they could be arrested. They were very aware of, we are in Cameroon and they are Cameroonians, so they were very aware of the dangers, and they chose to do it.
So it was not a surprise that they were picked up?
Was
there any particular reason as to why they were arrested?
No, I can tell you it's the usual Cameroonian story. We have a regime that uses the police as a political instrument for intimidation. None of those women was questioned. None of them. I, who was not arrested, because I was not personally arrested, but I followed the women throughout to ensure their safety and their security. So I was questioned as somebody who was responsible for the event. They got the information from me. Criminal act. There was no violence. This was a very, very peaceful march, and it was our way of celebrating Women's Day. So, we could not. This group has been bringing together women from Northwest and Southwest and women from the other regions. And believe you me, the women are astounded to hear the stories of the women from the Northwest and Southwest, because they don't really know what is happening. Yes. So this has been one of the great successes of this group, is that the women are coming together and realizing that they have common problems, that also if this country is going to get back on its feet, they as women have to speak up, have to take their responsibility. So no, I tell you, every woman coming out of there, we feel so victorious and accomplished. We feel so strong.
But you cannot say you are completely accomplished, because you wanted to see the President of the Republic.
Oh, we still do.
You want to see the President?
Yes, yes.
What would change if you meet the head of state?
So the demand that the women were out to express was a request for an appointment with the head of state, and we have asked him that he should receive us by the 16th of March, so by Friday of this week. that he should provide us with an appointment. Why? Because the women, when we discussed, they said, well, he is the number one person in charge in Cameroon. And some of the women said, maybe he does not really know. As they were discussing with each other, discovering their stories.
But do you think the head of state is not aware of
what
is going
the
on?
Women felt,
is that what you think?
The women felt, this is not a Kah Walla initiative. It is a collective initiative, and on some points, I have to cede to what the women want. And they said, before we take any other level of action, because they are prepared for another level of action, but they said, before we do that, let us ask to see him and to talk to him and to explain these things to him and give him the opportunity to start seeing with us a way out of the situation. So that is what they have done. It is their first step. This is not a one-time event. These women are very, very determined to see peace and harmony come back to Cameroon.
Hoping that the head of state is going to grant audience to the women of Stand Up for Cameroon. Now, we talked about earlier the United Nations High Commission for Refugees that has published latest figures stating that more than 20,000 Anglophone Cameroonians are officially registered now in abroad Nigeria as asylum seekers. What, according to you, is making the people to flee from Cameroon to Nigeria?
Well, it is very, very clear, and this is what some of the women who were at the event on Friday were expressing to the others, that we are today in a cycle of violence. So, this population had undergone a lot of violence from the state for many, many months without retaliating. Then we got to one point where those who are for separation from Cameroon, they said, we are no longer going to take the violence lying down. We are going to retaliate. So, which they started doing. But what we see is that when they kill one gendarme, the army comes in and burns down 20 houses, burns down a village, and so on and so forth. Then, when you burn down, those people whose houses have been burned, they become radicalized. They too join the movement of those who are willing to kill a gendarme. So we are in a terrible cycle of violence, which will not end. And that is why these women got, one of their key message was stop. Just stop. Stop the violence. Because we cannot pretend that we are doing anything. Going to elections, having ministerial appointments, and so on. No, none of that makes sense in the current state of affairs. So, these people are fleeing their villages because they are unsafe. No human being will leave his bed, will leave his home, unless he feels threatened. And we have seen, and I want to really thank Equinox, because you are doing a fantastic job in informing us. We have seen your reports from the refugee camps. This is not a pleasant place to be. It's not at all a pleasant place to be. So people would not have left their homes unless they feel their actual lives are in danger.
And the situation is more complicated for the various refugees because the UN Refugee Agency is lacking funds to finance, because in their reports this month of March 2018, they were talking about the need for some $18 million, and they have so far not received even a franc so far. What could be the implication?
Well, here is the situation, and that is why we came out on the 9th. We could not sit at home. We could not let Women's Day go by like that. Is that refugees, many people don't understand that the UNHCR raises money. It doesn't have money kept somewhere waiting for refugees. When a situation arises, it launches an appeal to donors. And right now in the world, there are so many situations which are demanding their attention. You have Syria, you have Boko Haram, so this situation of Cameroon, which was unprecedented, nobody was expecting it, has come up now like an emergency within emergencies. So UNHCR is having to struggle to find the funding. And we as Cameroonian women say this is unacceptable. It is unacceptable that our government knows for a fact that there are at least 20,000, because the actual figures we think are closer to 50,000. As you know, most refugees, when they leave, they don't go and register with UNHCR. So many of them are in villages with relatives and so on. And the government of Cameroon has not bothered to even send one minister there, to send one government official there to Nigeria to inquire what is the state of these people, or to listen to them. Why have you left your villages? What is making you feel insecure? So that they could now have a plan to secure the villages so that people can come back. It is very dangerous for us as a nation, because people sitting in refugee camps, you don't know what is being put into their minds. You don't know how they are being radicalized. You don't know, I mean, just the fact that you stay in a refugee camp is already a way of radicalizing you. So, you know, these are all the situations which we find
I'm talking
untenable.
about radicalization. There are a series of measures that the government is putting in place, precisely the banning on the circulation of motorbikes in some parts of the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon. We equally have the curfew being extended on daily basis or weekly basis, so to say, by the governor of the northwest region. Do you really think that is a better way of solving the crisis?
You see, we have said from the beginning of this crisis that we should never have gotten to this stage, number one, because we should have dialogued. We should have discussed and talked our way out of a problem. But now we are in the situation where we are. Still, government, as they know, you know, the government is behaving as if they did not just have a crisis with Boko Haram a few years ago. You cannot win a war against an extremist group without the population being on your side.
But this is a people.
If the population is already feeling terrorized, now you take motorbikes, which Cameroonian does not know that motorbikes are the greatest creator of employment in our country today. So when you are burning those motorbikes or banning them, you are depriving people of the little means they have to generate some money for themselves and their families. Chances are that they are not going to appreciate that measure that you have taken. And government is taking these measures again without discussing with the people. Bring people together and say, I am certain that majority of people in the northwest and southwest want the violence to end from all sides. They want the violence to end, but they are human beings. They can tell you that this is the best way for us to put an end to this. This is the best way to not dictating measures to people which they now leave as an additional burden. They are already feeling insecure. Their economy is already down because of this crisis for 2 years, and then now you remove from them again the means to feed their families. I don't think government is showing intelligence here, but they have not shown intelligence, unfortunately, since the very beginning.
Many
of this
political
crisis.
parties, politicians, opposition leaders will tell you that the only way to bring change is for power to change. Do you share a similar view? Do you think the
now let me give you the CPP's view. The CPP's view and my personal view is absolutely correct. The BR regime has to go.
But how would the BR regime go when the CPP is not taking part in the election?
No,
You say you are not taking part in elections.
We say this as CPP. For us to have elections that can allow the BR regime to go. Because we cannot just go to elections. We have been going to elections in this country for 25 years. The BR regime has gone nowhere. On the contrary, they have consolidated themselves. So election is not a remedy for the regime to go. So it is no, but as you can see from our actions on Friday, we are not indifferent at all.
I mean,
we are not indifferent.
To elections.
Even with regard to the election, we say what we have done as CPP is invite our political colleagues, invite all those who want to go to election to say, let us come together and demand certain changes in the electoral system. If we don't demand those changes and obtain them, if we don't build a dynamic of Cameroonians who are moving for change, There is no, we are going on an
What are the
electoral,
changes-
we are going on
what
an
are the
electoral
changes-
stroll to
What are the
accompany Mr.
changes
Biya.
that you want to see in the electoral system in Cameroon?
Those ones are well known and well shared by the opposition. One, we want to see a 2-round election. Stop talking to us about unique candidate, and so 2-round election solves the problem of single candidate, because you go to 2 rounds, second round you are going in with a single candidate. Number 2, let the electoral calendar be known. I often compare this thing to a football match. Will you participate in a football tournament? If I am inviting you to the tournament, you ask me, when will the tournament be played? I say sometime in 2018. You say no, but exactly when? I say no, just keep practicing, keep jogging, be ready for the date. You won't accept that. Thirdly is the independence of the arbiters, that is the ELECAM, which organizes the election. As we know, majority of the members of ELECAM are CPDM members. Will you go to a football match where the referee is a former player of the team you are going to play? I don't think so.
So you are officially telling Cameroonians that the CPP party is not taking part in
we
say
2018. We say CPP party is for elections. We want to go to elections. We want to go to elections that will remove this regime from its seat. So in order to do that, we are inviting Cameroonians to join us. We are going to be very, very active in the coming weeks and months to join us to push for fundamental changes which can actually allow us to have regime change. Because we are not, CPP is not prepared to do is to go for an electoral stroll to accompany Mr. Biya as he consolidates his power. That we are not going to do.
The battle to call for changes in the electoral system has been going on for a very long time now. Do you think
so? Has the battle to get rid of Mr. Biya?
Do you think it can be successful this time around?
Of course.
To permit the CPP finally take part.
Of course. Listen, you don't give up a battle because it's taking long. Otherwise, South Africans, they fought apartheid for 100 years. Today, Cameroonians are happy to send their children to South Africa to go to school. What if those people had stopped fighting after some time to say, oh, this is too difficult, we will not? You don't stop a battle. People who ended slavery, we are happy to send our children to the US today as black people. But how many years did they fight against slavery? You don't stop a battle. To have our freedom in Cameroon, and for us it should happen in 2018, and that's what we are working on.
We are not going to leave you without asking about the internal crisis within the Cameroon People's Party. Of course, it has to do with internal issues, but Cameroonians are preoccupied. What is actually going on from one crisis to another? It has to do with some members of the party or party officials disagreeing. Can you tell us more what is going on within the CPP?
So first, I would like to say there is no crisis. It is as if you have a belligerent member of a club who has decided to go outside and make noise. This is what it is. Within our party organs and institutions, we have no crisis. We have an honorary chairman. So get the title, honorary. Everybody who belongs to organizations knows what honorary means. You have no powers as an honorary person. And according to the statutes of the CPP, according to our party constitution, you cannot remove a party president. You cannot dissolve organs. This is a Congress. It is a Congress that elected me. It's only a Congress that will remove me. It is a Congress that put into place the organs of the party. It is only a Congress that will destitute any other person. So, we hope, we are taking a lot of measures within the party, legally and so on, to calm down this particular individual who is excited, by the way, about elections and going to take money to be part of presidential majority. So this is what these people are about, and we are not disturbed. As you can see from our activity, party activities are going on just fine.
Very well then. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Talking.